Today I'm going to show you two things that changed the direction of my career in a way that took me from being really horrible at sales to becoming the #1 agent at the agency that I first worked at when I first got my life insurance license. But first, I'm going to share the exact formula that agents are using to write $30K, believe it or not, to even over $50,000 per month of annualized premium consistently for life insurance sales, of course. So let's start with a thumbs up and subscribing if you're new to the channel. Guys, it all comes down to contacts, presentations, and of course, sales. First, if you want to earn six figures, you're going to need a lot of leads. All right? It's just how it is, guys. The goal should be to get in at least 5 presentations per day. And in order to do this, I gotta say, you're gonna need at least maybe 100, 150, potentially over 200 fresh exclusive leads each week. And this is why buying leads from a lead vendor does not work. The lead vendors, they gotta mark up the lead cost at least 2 to 3 times what it costs them to generate those leads. And by the way, guys, stick around to the end of the video. I'm gonna show you how to get a copy of the free Telesales New Agent Super File. This next statement, I'm gonna tell you what you're never gonna hear from your upline. You're not gonna hear from some other marketer or from some other agency owners, which is spending $20 to $30 for a lead that you've only got like 10 to maybe 20% maximum chance of getting on the phone, it does not work. Which is why we use an advertising funnel to get the leads for like half the cost, really in most cases even less, and really depending on what you're paying and where you're getting your leads from. Agents that are writing $30K per month are not spending $500 per week on leads. Let's just get that straight. They're spending more like $1,500, maybe $2,000 or even $3,000 per week. And yes, you heard me right, per week. And if this sounds like a lot of money to you, well, it's okay. It's simply because you probably have never experienced, or let me say it right, know what it's like to earn $200,000, maybe $300,000 per year, 100% profit. That's what we're talking about at all costs. Understand, guys, with life insurance sales, the idea is to take your weekly investment and at least double it, maybe even potentially triple that money. Someone who can sell is going to take $2,000 and they're going to turn it into $4,000 to maybe even more than $6,000 each week, basically, which means a $2,000 to $4,000 weekly profit. Now let's talk about the work. Putting in at least an 8-hour day minimum, 5 days per week, to me that's the baseline. We're talking at least $200 a day, which is basically 3 hours worth of work, if nobody answers, right? In order to get in, that 5 presentations per day. Me? Now, I expect to produce at a very high level. Therefore, I know, if I need to spend closer to $3,000 per week in order to get in like maybe more like 8 presentations per day, then that's what it's going to take for me to get in at least 3 to 5 sales per day. And that's kind of the math, which for someone with a really high skill set and a good closing percentage, where you're closing at least half of your presentations, we're looking at writing more like, I want to say $40,000 to $50,000 of premium per month. Let's talk a little bit about skill and talent. Look at professional athletes. They train every day. They eat clean. They do everything to make sure that they're physically and mentally at the top of their game. Thankfully, for a life insurance agent, this skill doesn't take like 10 or 20 years to develop like it does with the pro athletes, but it does take hard work. It does take discipline. And I think this is probably why our industry has such a high failure rate. I really do. Learning a system doesn't cut it. You have to learn it. You have to master it. Develop skill and talent, and the only way to do this really is to put a lot of dials, just do the work, to make a lot of sales, presentations, and really become one of the best, just like a professional athlete does. Think about it, that's why they're elite. Remember, we're talking about the big league, okay? Not selling 5K a month or 10K a month, a couple of sales a week. That's not what we're talking about here, guys. We're talking about a lot more than that. And guys, the reason that I want to say around 5% of life insurance agents are capable of all of that is because only that 5% of life insurance agents are going to spend the amount of money on the leads, necessary to do that. Only that 5% of life insurance agents are going to have the right work ethic, and only that 5% of agents are going to therefore develop that level of skill and talent that's needed to experience the kind of income that a high intent closer or top producer ever experiences. It all comes down to leads, dials, talk time, work ethic, and talent/skill set. Guys, it's sales. You only get out of this business, just like any other sales business, what you're willing to put into it. Now, let me address one more thing, which I really feel like is a huge variable. If you're working at an agency where you're buying your own leads or you're running your own ads online, you're spending your money to generate the leads, to get the leads, there is no reason for your commission levels for the main carriers, the main level products, to be less than 100%. Realistically, it should be more like 110, maybe even 120% like what we do with our agents. And yes, this is my opinion, but it's based on 18 years of life insurance sales experience. Yeah, it's kind of harsh. Anything less than 100% for your main level product when you're paying for leads, generating your own leads, when you're responsible for your own leads, it's not good. And you're probably just getting ripped off. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I was going to share two things that totally changed the direction of my career. The first thing, the first time I recorded myself making a life insurance sales presentation was huge. I'll never forget listening to that recording and being really upset, but at the same time having that light bulb pop up in my head. I thought I sounded fine, right? Before I heard the recording. I was totally wrong. I wasn't being clear throughout the entire presentation. I sounded monotone and I was pretty boring. I didn't sound like the professional salesman that I knew myself to be, that I thought I was. And thankfully, because I was listening to the recording, I was able to make immediate changes and was able to correct all of that pretty much in one fatal swoop. The second thing I did was I realized all the leads are pretty much laydowns, and that the objections that I was getting weren't real objections, or they weren't the true objection. This is when I stopped walking away when people would give me an objection, and instead I stayed and I fought for each and every one of those clients. I mean, to the point where they either became a client, right? They either signed up, or they asked me to leave, or they hung up the phone on me. So here's the gold. Two books that helped me get there are The Way of the Wolf, Straight Line Selling by Jordan Belfort, and Introducing NLP by Joseph O'Connor and John Seymour. Guys, do yourself a favor, get both of these books and read them twice each. Don't get the audiobooks, get the real books, read them. Hopefully you got something out of today's video. If you'd like a copy of the free New Agent Telesales Superfile that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. If you'd like more information on our preset calendar appointments system for telesales and the exclusive leads that come with that, just email me at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. So get out there or get on that headset, but whatever happens, guys, just make sure that you do something good for someone else today. Happy hunting.